Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome to my Premier League Match Week 9 prediction video where of course, as usual, you know the drill by now, we'll be discussing every game coming your way this Premier League match weekend. And as usual, this upcoming Premier League match week has got some exciting games that you will not want to miss. We've got one of the biggest rivalries in Premier League football, if not football history, coming up with Liverpool versus Manchester United. Now as we know, Manchester United have lost some valuable points as of late, to say the least, and Liverpool are looking pretty strong, so will it be a close encounter? Or will it be kind of more of a runaway result? We've also got Arsenal versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa winning their last 3 encounters versus Arsenal. Can Arsenal turn that form around? We've got Spurs versus West Ham. We've got Leeds versus Wolves and a bunch of other really exciting games that as usual you'll not want to miss, and we'll be covering all of those games in today's video. But before we get into my Premier League predictions, let me ask you guys to put down in the comment section down below, how are you guys doing? Once again, I feel like I just don't ask you guys those kinds of questions enough. I feel like it's important to ask those questions, to answer those questions. So let me know in the comment section down below, how are you guys doing, and tell me one thing that you are grateful for today. But jumping straight into my Premier League predictions, getting into game number 1, Arsenal versus Aston Villa. Now as I stated just a few seconds ago, or just a minute ago, Aston Villa have won their last 3 games versus Arsenal. That is very, very impressive. And Arsenal is such a weird team at the end of the day. They're one of those teams that when you expect them to win, they end up losing. When you expect them to lose, they end up winning. It's a very tricky team to predict. And can they change their form around versus a team like Aston Villa? I think so, to be honest with you. I think Arsenal are going to end up getting a 2-1 win versus Aston Villa. Nothing bad versus Aston Villa. I think so far this season, they've really got the makings of a really good team. No, they haven't started off as good as they did last season, but I feel like attacking wise they've got the right players. Midfield wise, yes, maybe they've been a bit sloppy here or there and they need to fix up a tiny bit, but they have created good chances. They have the ability to be defensively solid. I think Aston Villa have got a very good team, but just looking at Arsenal at the moment, I don't know, I've seen 1 or 2 brilliant moments from their attack. Yes, defensively still kind of sloppy, but definitely since adding Aaron Ramsdale between the posts instead of Leno, something about them has looked a lot more solid. Look, I'm not going to say Arsenal are the finished product, but ever since they've kind of not qualified for European football, I think that could be a huge advantage for Arsenal. I feel like they obviously play less games because they don't have Europa League, Conference League or whatever it is. So because of that, they have the ability to almost play their best players week in, week out, and I feel like that could be a huge benefit for Arsenal. Obviously, as of late, they've definitely been picking up more points. They've definitely been scoring more goals compared to the first month of the league. As I said, nothing bad about Aston Villa. It's just kind of more of a gut feeling that Arsenal will turn this result around. I feel like it will be a very close result, but I think Arsenal will end up taking a 2-1 win. And in terms of my player to watch, I'm going to go for Aubameyang. Look, not the greatest start to a season, but he has scored 3 goals in his last 7 games. Maybe he won't hit the heights that he did 2-3 years ago, being a 20-goal a season Premier League striker, but he's definitely kind of changed his form around, and I think he'll play a huge role in a win versus Aston Villa. Now jumping into the second game, maybe a bit more of a one-sided game, as it will be Chelsea versus Norwich. Now as we know, Norwich have not picked up a win yet this Premier League season. We're looking at Chelsea. I mean, from time to time, yes, they definitely slip up. They haven't always had the greatest performances. Versus Brentford, they allowed a lot of chances, but I give Brentford a lot of credit to that. I think they played really well. But at the end of the day, last season's Champions League winners versus a team that was in the Championship last season, I just feel like obviously Chelsea are the clear favourites to this. I feel like in terms of attacking, 1 or 2 players definitely kind of need to step it up. I feel like Romelu Lukaku hasn't scored in a bit. As I said, I feel like attacking wise, some of the more creative players kind of need to step up a different level. I think Mason Mount could be a serious different breaker, but at the end of the day, I do expect Chelsea to win. I haven't been that impressed with Norwich. I feel like attacking wise, they've been heavily wasteful. I feel like they get into good areas, but then they kind of just waste their shots. Defensively can be sloppy from time to time. I think they've got brilliant individuals, but they haven't quite gelled yet as a team. Because of that, I'm going to give Chelsea a pretty comfortable 3-0 win. I am going to give them a clean sheet because Edouard Mendy was an absolute beast versus Brentford. The fact that that man did not make the Ballon d'Or 30 shortlist is an absolute crime. I mean, how does a player like Raheem Sterling get into the top 30 best players of the year, but Edouard Mendy, the goalkeeper, like the UEFA Men's Goalkeeper of the Year, doesn't? To me, I'm absolutely baffled by that decision. But saying that maybe if Edouard was English, maybe he would have made the 30 shortlist. Once again, everyone seems to use that excuse. I'm a tiny bit tired of it, but saying that, I don't absolutely hate the thought of Edouard Mendy playing for the England national team. But at the end of the day, as I said, Chelsea looking really defensively solid. I thought that defense defensively, Eduard Mendy was an absolute beast. Tempted to make him my player to watch, but I think my player to watch versus Norwich is probably going to be Jorginho. Did really well in the Champions League throughout the week, scored 2 penalties. I think the way he's creating chances isn't looking too bad. I think Chelsea will win 3-0. My player to watch will be Jorginho. Now moving on to the next game, Crystal Palace versus Newcastle. And of course, Newcastle United have just sacked the likes of Steve Bruce. Obviously, they've had this huge financial takeover. Steve Bruce, obviously not a part of that plan. I first of all do want to say that the abuse that he has received lately has been disgusting. I don't believe any human, any person, anything should receive that amount of abuse that he has. He's obviously claimed that he might not go into management again because of the amount of abuse he's gotten. And I do want to say, look, Steve Bruce will never end up watching this video, but if he does, I do wish him the best of luck in the future. I've heard that he is an absolutely great person. All of the players that have worked under him have appreciated him. They've all said kind words about him. So obviously, best of luck to his future. But do I think Newcastle at the moment can beat Crystal Palace? I don't think so. I think Crystal Palace are going to end up getting a 2-1 result. Obviously, Crystal Palace ended up scraping a win versus Arsenal, or scraping a draw versus Arsenal, a 2-2 draw. But they almost ended up winning it. It's just the fact that Lacazette ended up scoring a late equalizer. Crystal Palace at the moment are looking very, very good, where I'm still unconvinced about Newcastle. Obviously, with the takeover I've just mentioned, that's not going to take part or take play until the transfer window. They're not going to get their Erling Haaland or whichever player you guys think they're going to end up getting. Unfortunately, without a proper manager at the moment, the way that they've been playing, the way they've been out of form, I just can't see Newcastle beating Crystal Palace, a team that's picked up some very valuable points as of late. And my player to watch has to be the likes of Eduard. Eduard has been brilliant. He's been scoring some really decent goals. He's looking really happy at the club, and I think he'll do it again versus a team like Newcastle United. Now moving on, we've got Everton versus Watford, obviously two former Marco Silva teams. Now looking at these two teams, Watford I feel like could pick up in terms of their form. I feel like they've got a very solid team. Whether it's Premier League worthy, I think I want to see 1 or 2 more things from them. I feel like since adding Ben Foster between the posts, they've definitely looked a lot more solid. Midfield wise, they've got some brilliant midfielders. I think Danny Rose looks really good in defense. Attacking wise, they seem to be creating some brilliant chances, but they've definitely lost points where it looks like they could win it. I feel like maybe from time to time they're a bit too dependent on the likes of Salah up front. Versus Everton, could they get a result though? Not too sure about that. Everton is a weird team. As I said, maybe they're a lot like Arsenal, where when you don't expect them to win, they end up getting a win. When you expect them to lose, they don't end up doing that. I don't know. Everton's a very weird team at the end of the day, but I do believe that they will pick up a result versus Watford. I'm going to put forward a 2-0 win in Everton's favour. Defensively, they have been making less mistakes since the beginning of the season. Attacking-wise, yes, their best attackers are out injured, and that will hinder the club. But I feel like the way Decore is moving up front, yes, I know Townsend has been scoring all the goals and he's been looking very decent, but Decore has really become more of a complete player this season. The way he's been passing, the way he's been creating chances, scoring more goals, he's definitely looking like more of a threat. And versus his former team Watford, will he crumble under pressure? I don't know, but I'm going to make Decore my player to watch. Now jumping straight into the next result, it is Leeds versus Wolves. Now if you asked me in the beginning of the season, I would have given Leeds a win. I thought under Marco Bielsa that they look really, really solid. But so far this season, I haven't quite seen that. In terms of attack, 1 or 2 players really need to start chipping in. Or they don't even need to chip in, they can finesse it. I don't know, but their attackers don't seem to be scoring the goals that they need. Defensively, way too many chances conceded by Leeds. Melia, of course, a brilliant goalkeeper, but there's only so much he can do. Where if you look at Wolves have picked up some really decent results as of late. They've been picking up some wins. Look, versus Aston Villa, they were 2-0 down with 10 minutes left and came back for a 3-2 win. I mean, that is absolutely marvelous. Look, unfortunately, Wolves, once again, just like Leeds, I would say, aren't performing as well as they maybe did last season. But because of their form, because they are looking slightly better, slightly more balanced throughout their team, I'm going to give Wolves am I going to put forward a 1-0 win, a 2-1 win? I'm just going to put forward a 1-0 win. As I said, Wolves looking slightly more solid as of late, gotten more results, better results than Leeds, and my player to watch will be Wang. I think Wang has scored some brilliant chances. He's really got an eye for goal as of late, and I think he'll do it versus Leeds. Now next up, we've got Southampton versus Burnley, which yes, Maybe this isn't one of the bigger games this match week. No, it's not your Liverpool versus Manchester United, but I feel like this potentially could be a very close game. Southampton have only won one game so far this season, where Burnley haven't won any of their games. Both of these teams could be in trouble. They both need to end up picking up in terms of their points in general. Now, obviously, Southampton, I feel like in terms of their attackers, they've got brilliant attackers, but they don't seem to be hitting the levels where they should be. I think Armstrong, I think Shea Adams, I feel like there's a lot of problems, whether it be injuries, whether it just be poor performances. Southampton aren't quite performing the way they should. In terms of their defense, they have been bullied in defense. They're not standing in the right areas. There are just way too many problems at Southampton, in my opinion. Looking at Burnley, I feel like Burnley haven't looked dreadful this season. I feel like they've created some brilliant chances. Defensively, yeah, they slip up from time to time, but I'm not totally unconvinced by Burnley. I feel like they could turn their form around. I feel like they could escape the kind of relegation zone, and I think they could get a result versus Southampton. I feel like the way Burnley's attack moves forward, they've obviously got very physical attackers with Barnes and Woods. They could bully defense, and as I said, Southampton's defense looking very vulnerable at the moment. I feel like Burnley's physical attack will bully Southampton's defense. It will be a 1-0 win to Burnley. I feel like Burnley will lock down solidly in defense, and I feel like a player like Cornet will be my player to watch. Adding him to the team has definitely added some versatility, a more creative player to this Burnley team, which is something they haven't had for quite a long time. A player who can get crosses into the box, a player with a bit of skill to his ability, the way that he can get crosses into the big physical attackers. He'll definitely contribute towards a win. Now moving on, we've got Brighton versus Man City. Which, by the way, guys, can we just talk about this? Brighton only losing one game so far this Premier League season. That is just not spoken about enough. I mean, defensively, they've been pretty solid. Midfield-wise, the way that they kind of distribute the ball forward. Attacking-wise, they've created beautiful chances. Brighton are not looking like a bad team this season, and not enough people have spoken about it. But versus Man City, do I think they'll get a result? Do I think they'll get a win? I don't quite think so. Look, it was only recently where I think they ended up getting a 3-2 win versus Manchester City. I still remember that game, I believe. But Manchester City, at the end of the day, even without a striker, as I've mentioned before, they are looking like a pretty solid team. The way they move forward in the Champions League, they absolutely crushed Club Brugge. I can only see Manchester City winning it. Nothing bad against Brighton. I think they're a great team, but Manchester City just look better at the moment. And in terms of my player to watch, it's going to be Phil Foden. What a brilliant youngster. The way that he improves season after season after season, he just impresses me every single time he's on the pitch, and I think he'll do it once again versus a team like Brighton. Now next up, we've got Brentford versus Leicester City. Once again, Brentford is not a team that I want to say is going to lose. I absolutely hate to say that, because I do think Brentford is everyone's favourite team at the moment. They obviously lost versus Chelsea 1-0 in their previous game, which is not a bad result. As I said, they had their chances. It's just the fact that Eduard Mendy was absolutely unstoppable in a game like this. I think Brentford look really, really good at the moment. Looking at Leicester City, I don't think they've been spectacular. Yes, they ended up getting that huge win versus Manchester United. Yes, they got a huge win in the Europa League. I feel like going forward, attacking-wise, they're not looking bad at the moment. Defensively, yes, they seem to be sorting out their problems step by step. I think looking at these two teams, it is going to be a very close game. It is only going to be a 1-0 win to whichever team ends up taking it. As I said, I don't like predicting Brentford to lose, but I feel like they will. I don't know what it is. Once again, one of those games where I have a gut feeling, and I've got a reasonably sized gut, so you know what, I tend to trust it from time to time. I'm going to go for a Leicester City win, and my player to watch is going to be Daka, because he has been amazing for the team. He scored 4 goals in the Europa League versus Spartak Moscow. He was brilliant in that game. He obviously scored versus Manchester United, becoming the first Zambian player to score in the Premier League. Daka has been on fire form, and I think that he'll really play a huge role in a win versus a very solid looking, stinging Brentford team. As I said, nothing bad about Brentford. I just feel like Daka, the way he's been scoring goals for fun as of late, will play a huge role in a game like this. Now moving on to the second last game this Premier League match week, which, ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you have enjoyed this video and you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe down below so that you don't miss more content like this, because of course I am kind of a prediction channel, whether it be Champions League, whether it be Premier League, whether it be African Cup of Nations, whatever it is. If you're new to my channel, I do that on on a regular basis, so do make sure to subscribe down below. But jumping into Spurs versus West Ham, it was only just over a year ago where we had that magnificent 3-3 draw where Lanzini ended up scoring probably the best goal I have ever seen. What an entertaining game, and to be honest with you, I can see another draw coming. I'm going to predict a 2-2 draw. Once again, don't feel like Spurs have quite hit the heights that they've needed to this season, but they seem to be scoring more and more and more. But it's been quite a while since we've seen a clean sheet from them. Defensively, they've been very sloppy, and that can be dangerous versus a team like West Ham United, who once again on their day can score goals for fun. They ended up getting a 1-0 win recently versus Everton from an Ogbonna header, which, by the way, West Ham I feel like is one of those teams where absolutely anyone on the pitch can score. As I said, I feel like it will be a 2-2 draw. I think these two teams are very similar at the moment. I feel like they've both got the ability to attack on their day. They both have the ability to defend on their day. I think it's going to be a close encounter. I'm going to put forward a 2-2 draw. And in terms of a player to watch, although Harry Kane has finally scored in the Premier League, I'm going to go for the likes of Declan Rice. He's just one of those players that can dominate the midfield on his day, and versus a big team like Spurs on a big occasion, I think he'll do just that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes us to our final game of Premier League Match Week 9, which, by the way, this Premier League season seems to be going reasonably fast. I can't believe we're almost 10 games in already. I mean, I feel like that's every Premier League season. It just gets faster and faster. But looking at Manchester United versus Liverpool, obviously, if you guys know me, I am a Manchester United fan. Lots of people are going to think I'm going to be biased about a game like this. But I'm kind of worried about Manchester United. They've lost a lot of valuable points as of late. Only one clean sheet in their last 20 games. For a big club like Manchester United, that doesn't go down to the players. That has to go down to the manager. In terms of the actual team itself, that means that something is fundamentally wrong about Manchester United. Or if you look at Liverpool, they are looking really good at the moment. I mean, obviously, they ended up getting that win versus Atletico Madrid. Defensively, yes, there were some major problems that they do need to sort out. But in terms of scoring goals, in terms of their ability to defend on their day, Liverpool are just looking like a much better team than Manchester United. Obviously, Manchester United ended up getting that last-minute win, or last 10-minute win, should I say, versus Atalanta. Manchester United proved in the second half of that Champions League game that yes, they can be a threat. They can be a team that can be difficult to deal with. But versus Liverpool, I'm not sure I like Manchester United's chances. It will always be a close encounter in a rivalry like this. Both teams will give it their all. It's one of the biggest rivalries in football. But as a Manchester United fan, I hate to say it, I think Liverpool will get a win. I feel like it will be a 2-1 win. Liverpool, in my opinion, are just looking a bit better than Manchester United at the moment. In terms of winning the Premier League, I like Liverpool's chances a lot more than I like United's at the moment. And because of that, looking at those statistics, I have to give Liverpool a win. I mean, Rafael Varane is out for Manchester United. The defensive mistakes have been adding up. I don't like Manchester United's chances. Liverpool, the way Mo Salah's been playing, he has scored 12 goals in all 12 games that he's played so far this season throughout all the competitions. He is looking like a man on fire, a man on form, and I think the Egyptian King will be the player to watch versus Manchester United. It will be a 2-1 win. It will break my heart, but that is my honest opinion. I mean, guys, I created this YouTube channel so that I can share my opinion. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say something that I don't believe in. I just genuinely believe Manchester United will struggle versus Liverpool. Look, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's struggled at United for quite a while now. There's obviously times where it's all Ole out. Do we sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Then he kind of just reels it in with a big win. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to prove to me that he is the right man for the job, he needs to beat Liverpool. So we'll have to see what happens in a game like this. But that, ladies and gentlemen, will be it for my Premier League Match Week 9 prediction video. I hope you have ended up enjoying it. Once again, if you're new to my channel or not subscribed, make sure to subscribe down below. I'd appreciate it. Obviously, hit the like button. Can we get this video to 15 likes? I'd appreciate it. And tell me in the comment section down below, as I said earlier, tell me something that you appreciate or something that you're grateful for in life. Tell me how your day's gone, all of that kind of stuff. Mental health, it is important. But that, ladies and gentlemen, will be it for today's video. Hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy your Premier League match weekend. This has been Finn, FYNN. Cheers.